Okay, today we are just starting to go through the apiary to do some equalizing. What I'll do, we've gone through the first hatch now according to the calendar. The bees are on to their second round of brood, so we now know the established size of these colonies. What we want to do is find the big ones and kind of equalize out the smaller ones. So we'll take from the big and give to the small kind of deal. So we'll go through the whole apiary, hive by hive, and we will sift the strength and boost up the weaker ones. At the same time, we're doing a brood check. We're doing a spot check on the queen, not necessarily having to find her, but we want to assess the brood pattern. We want to assess for disease, if there's disease. And yeah, we just want to look at the overall condition of the colonies. We're looking for food stores, for pollen reserves, and for like nectar or honey. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go into this colony. We're going to go frame by frame to go through, just count our brood frames. We're looking for, this week we're going to be counting 3.5 frames of brood is what I want. Any more than that I'll take away, and any less than that I'll make sure I drop one in from another colony. These bees are nicely consuming the supplement. Now that there's fresh pollen out, there isn't a lot of consumption going on, well, except for these guys are just about done this patty. So I'm going to add another patty on after we're finished with this colony, just to close them up. And I want that on the colony not so much for the bees to feast on right now, but I want it on there just in case we get a terrible weather event that comes through, kind of like sometimes we get these spring snowstorms that last a week and we don't see them coming, they just happen upon us. So I like to have some supplement on top just to help protect the growing nest from those weather events. So as you can see, there's not a lot left of these patties here, they're just about done. So what I'm going to do is how I open up my hives. There's a lot of beekeepers asking me, how do I open up my hives a commercial way? And I don't exactly know what they mean by how do you work a hive commercial like. Just work your beehive. So what I do is I just, first frame everything's a little bit tight, so I just try to loosen it up. And then there's these little knobs at the top, right? So you want to take those off, take your first frame out, because those are those are what you're going to roll bees on when you pull your first frame out. You don't want to roll bees as you pull your frame out. Okay, so I'm looking at this is full of nectar. There's a nectar flow going on. We're right beside some muskeg pasture. It's absolutely fantastic. Another nectar honey frame going in, and now we hit the brood. So what do we got here? So we're going to pull this out. This side they was right full of eggs. Side has pollen, nicely pollen around some eggs. This colony was marked as medium. I did mark this one as a strong one earlier on. Beautiful frame of brood. These guys are going right to the edges of the frames. So I would count this as what I do is when I count my frames of brood is I want to count my cap brood. Cap brood on both sides equals one frame. This one wasn't quite, but it had larvae right out to the edge. Here's a good frame of brood. So if this is one frame, this would be about, 1.5. Pollen in this one. Hives hatching out. Just loaded full of pollen here. So I'm going to count these guys all together as being roughly about 3 frames of brood. then I want to do just a quick visual on her, just make sure I put her back in. So this colony is roughly, you know, 3.5 frames of brood. I won't open these guys up for another, well, I won't have to open them up for a few weeks now. These guys are ready to go. Next time I see them, I'll be adding space to them in about 2.5. Okay, so this is the colony arrangement we made up a week and a half ago or so. We identified the very strong units. We put on these salvage units. We merged the two together with a sheet of newspaper, and we kept the queens apart with a queen excluder. My attempt to salvage these smaller units just to bring their population back up over threshold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spot check the top just to see if she is accepted, to see what the colony condition is up top, and then I'm going to go down below and I'm going to count my brood frames. And I'll either take surplus from down here because I'm expecting surplus brood, and I'll shift some up on top and then take this away as a full split, or I'll take some of the surplus away to another colony in the yard which needs a boost. So all I want to do now is just take a look into the brood nest to see if there's eggs, just to see if she's been accepted, and just take a look at the condition of the brood nest itself. This frame is packed full of eggs right to the edges. Obviously this colony has accepted this queen. There's brood right to the edges. This is really encouraging. I gotta watch though, because the brood nest of this size, you see with this colony on top, these two are acting together right now. So they're sharing resources, that's including heat and bees. So they're maintaining a larger nest than they typically would by themselves. So I have to watch when I pull this colony off that they're advanced enough, they have enough bees up top, and they're advanced enough they can maintain that brood nest that they're working on right now. So this has been a successful merger up on top. I don't have to go through anymore. There's eggs, and there's probably 2 or 3 frames of eggs and brood in there. So what these guys need is more time on the rims so we don't kill bees. Okay, then I'm going to take a look underneath to see what's going on down below. So this colony has spared strength to the top. So we've pulled some of that strength away from the bottom. Let's do a quick look for queen on the excluder. There's nothing there. One thing I don't like about this method is it's so messy. The bees do a good job of cleaning up this newspaper, but anyways. So what I'm expecting to see when I put this colony on, when I put the salvage on, this was like a 8 and 9 frame hive, and what I expect to see is a lot of that population to have moved up, which I can see here. So I've in a sense removed surplus strength from this colony and shifted it to the top. So now the question is, how much did that set this bottom colony back? I got to make sure that there's enough room for that queen to carry on her normal function, and I do not want her to go into swarming mode. So we just want to quickly assess to see what's going on here. So there is a full frame of nectar and pollen. She's laying her brood right to the edges. For her brood. Counting 3 frames of brood underneath here, so these guys are in perfect shape. So I just poked my nose into a few colonies here just to see where the apiary's at. What I was doing is just assessing to see where the colonies were at this point, and just with this I will plan ahead for the week and the week after. The hives are right where I thought they were. They're not over strong, consistent. The big ones, which we put the salvage units on top. The merger was successful. Those units we put on top of the strong units pulled enough bees from underneath to the top to bring that bottom strong unit to exactly where we want them. So in a sense, we're taking the split out of those strong colonies by salvaging those weak ones, by bringing some of the resource up top. And yeah, it's working out really well. Those queens up top, they are stretching their legs. They're laying brood from corner to corner. And it puts a little bit more pressure on me, because when we pull these colony units off, we got to do it right at the right timing to make sure, because right now they're sharing resource bottom to top. So we pull those units off the top. We got to make sure they have enough bees to be able to maintain the nest that they've established already. So I just got to give them a little bit of time. So we got to allow for close to another hatch anyways. Get that other hatch, and then that'll be another bunch of bees to be able to look after a larger area.